Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's look at some stocks on the move today here in Europe. I'm Caroline Hepker alongside our Bloomberg reporter Chloe Millay. Good morning.
Good morning.
BMW declining quite significantly. I've been talking about Germany's industrial production figures. There's been a big hit to the German automakers. Why is BMW particularly bad today?
Well, just last night it lowered its outlook, cut its guidance due to tariff costs, and then also a continuation of weak sales in China. And China is a big market for those car makers, but European manufacturers are really struggling to compete with the cheaper Chinese manufacturers that are really gaining attraction there. And of course, those weak sales in China are also compounded by weak sales in Europe and in the US, where, we've got demand for luxury cars in particular that BMW makes, which is very low at the moment. We saw Porsche flagging that weakness for the luxury electric vehicles that it makes just a couple of weeks ago. So this really shows that the German car industry, which is very reliant on exports, is going to be facing kind of continued challenges going forward. Another thing worth mentioning is that BMW now expects to be reimbursed customs duties next year instead of 2025, and that's after the US lowered tariffs retroactively to August 1st. So the guidance cut definitely is driving the shares down. Today we'll see how much more of these we get in that car making sector as the earnings season progresses.
Yeah, absolutely. BMW share price down well over 6% in the first hour of European trading. ArcelorMittal, though, has some better tariff news.
Yeah, absolutely. So ArcelorMittal, a steel company, a steel maker, so it was placed on positive catalyst watch at Citi, and that is because the company will benefit from the European Union's plan to restrict foreign steel imports. So essentially, the EU is mirroring the policy from the US, which currently imposes 50% tariffs on those steel imports. So Citi analysts said that those measures should be very supportive to that European steel industry, which was one of the first sectors that Trump had singled out when he started slapping those tariffs to all of the different industries. And that was obviously reflected in the shares kind of tumbling across that steel industry. But hopefully this plan will turn things around. For ArcelorMittal specifically, it has a 30% European market share, so more steel shipments could translate into a profit boost of up to $750 million, which is not negligible, of course. So that's quite positive for that company.
Now, interesting that overall European stocks after the first hour are actually up this morning, but ASML shares have been hit hard. Why?
Yeah, quite badly this morning, ASML. It's because of the announcement of a US probe into semiconductor exports to China. So lawmakers in the US said that ASML, but also other companies like Tokyo Electron, Applied Materials, and Lam Research had fueled semiconductor manufacturing in China and made sizable returns selling equipment to Chinese state-owned and military-linked companies. And the statement from that committee said that semiconductor development in China is a threat to US national security. So this could mean potentially even more export restrictions, which could hurt sales for ASML and those peers that I mentioned. This is a big setback for ASML because it had really benefited recently from quite positive news flow around AI recently. There were quite new high-profile partnerships like the deal between AMD and OpenAI, for example, and just quite generally bullish sentiment around that sector. But obviously, this is a bit of a setback for ASML. It's really hit the shares, as you said, this morning.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.